Is Monday morning a struggle to get out of bed, into the swing of things? Well, don't worry, you are not alone. Join us for thought-provoking, stimulating, and mindful conversations on higher learning with ZeldaSpeaks for your Monday morning mindfulness session on Blog Talk Radio, The Female Solution, Mondays, 7:30 until 9 a.m. Be sure and send your ideas, thoughts, comments, and suggestions. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, visit ZeldaSpeaks.com and send us your info. We'd love to have you. Experience mindfulness moments with the mindfulness/stress relief coach, Zelda Speaks. And thanks for sharing the mindfulness moment tip of the day. Stay on purpose, stay empowered, and stay tuned to your next session of mindfulness on higher learning with Zelda Speaks. Make it a mindful day. And thanks for listening.
And greetings to our family, grand rising on this great Monday morning. And as always, we appreciate you. And you have tuned in to another edition of The Female Solution. And in just a few minutes at our 7:30 hour, we will be joined by our Monday morning host, Zelda Speaks, and get ready for an invigorating session on higher learning. Higher learning with Zelda Speaks. And you have an opportunity to tune in and chime in at 515-605-9325 and just press 1 when you're ready to speak, and we'll come right to you and get your comments. As always, we want to hear from you because you are a very important part of this morning's think tank as we seek to change the world from the way it is to the way it should be. And when we have raised the consciousness to a significant point, when we have a significant percentage of the world population at a point of understanding, then we begin to see Earth's transformation, because the energy of hate and war will no longer be the dominant force, and instead we will be producing the energy of love. So this is our goal, to increase the percentage of the awakened population. And we, along with many others who are on this great mission at this time on Earth, are diligently pursuing this every day through our various mediums, whether they be television or radio or the internet and all the various forms of social media. This is a global mission that we are on, and all of us who have chosen to be born at this time are participating in this mission, because everybody who's here is here to help everybody who's here. And if you are among the awakened who know that this is the mission, then you are diligently involved in awakening those in your midst so that they can become transformed human beings. This is why we chose to be born. This is why we're here. This is why we're experiencing all the things that we are experiencing, so that we may see clearly where we are damaged and where we need healing. Some of us are here to help expose the areas that need work. Mission is to reflect the morals and the values of the society, so that we may know what that manifests as in terms of treatment of individuals, and we may see what needs to be changed. Many of the things that we've seen are quite unpleasant, but that's a good thing, because unpleasantness prompts action, and action creates change. So that which we may see as bad is actually good. Just like when you see an outbreak of pimples on your face. It's ugly and disfiguring, but it lets you know that there's something internally happening in your body that needs correction. It is some impurity that needs to be cleansed. And so the manifestation of it on your face where you can see it helps you to decide to make those changes that can cleanse that which is unsightly. So that may mean a decision to change your diet. It may mean a decision to drink more water. It may mean a decision to get more exercise so that you can let the natural effects of perspiration cleanse your body. But whatever these decisions are, they come as a result of seeing that outbreak of pimples that is unsightly and unattractive, and therefore something that you want to get rid of. When we see behavior from the president or other elected officials that is unsightly, that is to let us know where we need a cleansing. We have had a number of individuals in high places accused of sexual misconduct, and that's a good thing because, again, we need to see what is impure and unclean and toxic inside of our society so that we can choose to cleanse it. All of these things are coming about so that we can be in the process of transformation. So those who prompt the transformation are also doing their job, even though they're not aware. But on a soul level, we're all aware that this is why we're here, because we are in the process of creating a new earth. And so there are those who are in the process of helping us understand so that we don't panic when we see things happen. We don't get upset and afraid and continue fear-based actions because we understand that this is the process of cleansing. So today on Higher Learning with ZeldaSpeaks on the Female Solution, we're going to have an invigorating discussion with Lionel Abdul Haqq of Community Cultivations on Christian-Muslim relations. And we invite you to call in 515-605-9325 and press 1 when you're ready to speak, and we'll come right to you and get your thoughts. You may also join us now for the next 20 minutes on Facebook Live on the Female Solution as we speak to you and share good news. Today we are, again, pleased to share with you progress that we make in the quest to continue the growth and the development of the Female Solution radio show. And as you know, we're part of the On Air Network, which is a global guide to many who are raising consciousness through their videos, through their radio shows, through their websites. And we are all on one accord in terms of understanding that this is a divine mission. And we've all been called to that mission, and all of us are seeking to repair the damage that we have done to each other as part of the human family. So today on Higher Learning with ZeldaSpeaks, we're going to discuss the issue of Muslim-Christian relations. This is a very intense situation that we see not just in the United States but around the world regarding our religious bodies, our families of faith, who are unknowingly often pitted against each other for reasons that don't make any sense. If the purpose of your becoming part of a faith community is to collectively bring positive energy from the divine, then why would you be in conflict with another faith community who has as its same mission to help people transform from the inside out so that they can strengthen their relationship and expression of the divine. We who are in faith communities have a responsibility not to convert anyone to a particular thought, but to express that thought in its highest form in our own behavior. And if we do that, then we inspire others to follow suit and also express that thought in whatever form their own faith expresses it. There's never a reason to disagree or be in conflict about one's theology. Whatever teacher one follows, whatever spiritual guide one trusts with one's development, the manifestation of that teaching should be in the transformation of one's own personality. We need every faith community to be a source of inspiration, because in the course of inspiration comes transformation. And when each soul is transformed, they change the energy on the earth. So this is why we're all here, to go through a transformation. That means a state of inner awareness, an awareness that we are all connected and we are all affecting each other with our thoughts, our words, and our behavior. What should happen in the course of transformation is the sensitivity and compassion for each other that helps us to want for our brother or sister what we want for ourselves. That means transformation. What we are learning to do is to create policies for the purpose of making sure we're meeting everyone's needs. The purpose for all laws, all rules, all regulations, and all policies should be to enable us to meet everyone's needs: food, clothing, shelter, self-development, so that whatever creative skills, abilities, and talents they have, they can develop and share them with the rest of the human family and the animal kingdom and every other living being on this earth. This is a place that is home for many people, and we have the ability to enhance that home when we are mindful of others' needs. So we have to transform our thoughts about our purpose. It's not to make money a symbol of wealth and to amass it and hold it and therefore feel more powerful than others. That's not the reason why we're here. We're here to provide for each other's needs and enhance this experience of living in this physical body on this earth, so that we can learn how to express love for each other. That's why we're here. This is what the Earth School is about. So we're right now going through the transformation in thought and realizing that our purpose here is not to amass things, but to provide for the needs of all living beings. That's our reason for being here. Now, there are those who don't know that. They are in a state of unevolved thought. They're living in fear-based philosophy. And much of this fear-based philosophy is coming out of religious institutions that teach divine energy, that is the creative energy of the universe, is punitive and angry and vengeful, and therefore is a force to be feared and obeyed with ritualistic behaviors. And so when people are following such a thought, then their aim begins to be to control other people, not to help them evolve or to inspire them to transform, but to control them. And many in religious institutions believe they're doing the right thing because they believe that the way to keep themselves safe and secure is to control other people. That is a wrong thought. People do not need control. They need inspiration and guidance towards self-management. And so this is why we choose to share knowledge every day on the Female Solution to enable those who are inspired to share their thoughts, their skills, their research, even in bringing other people into the conversation. Our goal, as always, is to increase the number of those who are aware. The more people that are aware, the more people can inspire others, and the less we will have of people seeking to control others. So we have some very powerful religious organizations that are well-meaning but sometimes misguided in their attempts to enforce control. And sometimes this control is enforced through shaming people or publicly humiliating them. And this does not promote inner cleansing, but outer deception. We have had many religious organizations that have tried to enforce a control over people and their sexuality. And they use public shaming as a way to do so. So you would have people that would be publicly shamed if a child was conceived and the couple was not married. You would have people who would be publicly shamed if they were found to be sexually attracted to members of the same sex. You would have people who would be publicly shamed because they secretly watched others in terms of pornographic entertainment. And so around the issue of sexuality has been created a shame and fear. And unfortunately, this does not enable the healthy growth and development of the sexuality and the intention of our sexual expression as a high spiritual expression of love. We have disconnected the thought of sex being connected to spirituality so that we do not receive the benefit of the powerful cleansing energy that it represents. We have perverted it with our wrong thoughts. And so we have not allowed it to be understood. And instead, we have people that are making even bad decisions out of fear of public shaming. We have had people who have been forced into marriages because of a pregnancy, people who do not love each other. And out of that union came very unloving children who were raised in households in which couples did not express love for each other. We have had situations where single mothers have been forced to live in destitution because of laws that would not enable them to have a spouse because they were receiving government assistance. Very unloving behavior. And punishing a man if he tried to be in his family's life, if he was not her husband, but then when he becomes her husband, she loses government assistance. And so this has created quite a devastating effect. Our communities have become anti-family. And as a result, you have people who are very confused with their sexual drive and their desire to form partnerships. But the interference comes in when the objective becomes to either conform to religious standards and meet financial requirements. In a society that deliberately withholds economic opportunities from a large portion of its population, we have to make the choice to transcend those restrictions on the wholesome development of loving partnerships. So our goal in life cannot be to earn a dollar figure, but to provide for the needs of the society. Because if you're not allowed to do what is natural and find a mate and a loving partner, unless you meet a certain dollar requirement, and those who control what is considered money have as their intention to withhold that opportunity from you, then after generations, you are not going to be able to form families. And so all you have is the guilt of not being in your family, being forced to leave your family so that the mother of your children can get public aid because the economy has changed and perhaps you no longer qualify for what were traditional jobs. So much of the shame and guilt that men have felt about the demasculation that they have experienced have driven them to self-medicate with alcohol, bringing more shame and guilt. So now you are an alcoholic trying to self-medicate out of your shame for not being the man that you need to be in your family, and yet you have a desire to have a loving partnership. This has created such a brokenness in us. So if our faith community look at the situation, and if the only thing they know how to do is to condemn the behavior, condemn unmarried sexuality, or condemn fathers who appear to have abandoned their children, or condemn people for alcohol and drug use who are self-medicating because they're not receiving love, to condemn children who are confused in their lack of guidance. If the only thing our spiritual communities have known how to do is to condemn, then they have not served us well. What we must do as a human family is to change our objective. Our objective must not be to take a symbol for wealth, like money, and make it an object to be attained before one can live and love. Our goal as a human family must be to provide for each other's needs. That must be the collective goal. So that means changing our thoughts, changing the way we operate, changing the why behind what we do. And so our faith communities, no matter how rigid and harsh they stand up and purport themselves to be, if it's not based on love and understanding and a willingness to transform a society that is not based in love, then they will not be the transformative bodies we need to create a loving society. First comes the understanding that our goal here is not correct. Earning wealth is not the reason for being. Expressing love is the reason for being. And creating systems that provide for the needs of all living beings. That is the reason for being. So those who are creating havoc right now are reflecting to us what it looks like to continue to follow these standards of vying for wealth and power. They're showing us what it looks like. It is very ugly, like that pimple on your face. It's showing you that something on the inside is unclean. You're carrying toxins. They need to be washed away. Something inside needs to change. That's what these people are here to show us, to reflect to us so that we can decide not to raise our children to conform to this system or fit into this system, but to transform it into what it should be. This is our goal. So when we look at our faith community, it isn't a question of which one is right and which one is wrong, but how can you, using the insight of the original teacher that inspired the religion, how can you assist mankind in the inner transformation so that we may all be self-guided by the divine energy that is in all of us, that is all of us? How can we choose to be the transformative energy on this planet so that the faith communities that we represent may a source of liberation from wrong thoughts as opposed to imposition of wrong thoughts? Anything based on fear is incorrect because fear does not enable learning. Fear enables manipulation. Knowledge is freedom when it is applied for one's self-development. So we urge all of you to join us today and be a part of this discussion as we join our sisters on Higher Learning with ZeldaSpeaks and her guest, Lionel Abdul Haqq, Community Cultivations, as we take a look at Christian-Muslim relations. Are we able to manifest deeper understanding, deeper wisdom, and deeper learning through the teachings of the higher evolved souls that inspired the religious teachings? And are we able to become higher evolved souls by listening and understanding the higher thought that they brought to us? I'm Naima Latif, and we look forward to you joining us on the Female Solution. And we ask that you stay with us. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will be joined by our dear sister and her guest on Higher Learning with ZeldaSpeaks. We'll be right back, and if you want to join the conversation, call in at 515-605-9325 and press 1 when you're ready to speak. We will come right to you and give your thoughts. Stay with us.
Grand rising to you and yours. Our Blog Talk family this morning, thank you so much for joining me and the family as we continue with Blog Talk Radio, the Female Solution, Higher Learning with ZeldaSpeaks. I hope your weekend was long enough, and if not, we will do what we can to make your week worthwhile. And as we always invite you to join us online on social media, facebook.com/ZeldaSpeaks, and other social media, everything is at ZeldaSpeaks. And I speak to you this morning from a meditation, inspirational conversations with Shalom at Israel, a.k.a. ZeldaSpeaks, with a moment of inspiration because we are in the midst of holidays. We're always in the midst of holidays in this country, and there is so much pressure to do, to be, and to have. And just for a moment, I want to take that pressure off of you from the outside, and let's focus on the inside. So today's inspiration says it's taken from February 2nd and February 8th. I'm combining two
pages so that you can get a better understanding. Yes, it's that time again. Are you bold enough to love yourself without expecting it from anyone else? Many of us have difficulty loving someone else because we have not learned to love ourselves yet. Relationships require work. Relationships are a full-time job. Relationships help us see character defects in others that we cannot see in ourselves. Let me repeat that again. Relationships help us see character defects in others that we cannot see in ourselves. We expect people to do things for us that they aren't able to do, and we get mad at them when they are only a reflection of us. It might not be in their character to give us what we need. It might not be developed in our own if we have to have it from someone else. So the next time you go to blame someone for not fulfilling your needs, look at where the pointed finger is coming from and give thanks that you saw it first. Don't set yourself up for disappointment because a social holiday is near and you don't have a significant other in your life. We often focus on the outer instead of the inner. We won't recognize true love or receive true love until we learn to love ourselves first. Not the fatal attraction kind of love where he or she cannot live without you, but the kind of patience, understanding, and empathy that will still be around when you are at your very lowest, when you don't want anyone to see you or even talk to anyone. You see, when we truly love ourselves, love shows up in the most unexpected places, like a warm feeling in your heart, enjoying the simple pleasures of life, alone with nature, receiving something totally unexpected, saying no, or simply look in the mirror and really like what you see staring back at you. Love yourself first, as if you were the lover you seek. No one can love you the way you can. Don't try to give all your love to one individual. Their cup may not be big enough to hold it. Inspirational Conversations with Shalomith Yisrael, a.k.a. ZeldaSpeaks. Hope you enjoyed that this morning because, as we all know, in about 10 days from now, it will be Valentine's Day, and so much focus is concentrated on the outside of what I can buy this person, or if I don't have a person in my life, I'm made to feel less than. And it's a vicious cycle, and it's so domineering in our society that it causes more shame, confusion, and a variety of other negative emotions. In situations and circumstances that are beyond our control, we are simply caught up. And it is a daily, weekly, monthly, yearly job to catch ourselves moment by moment and recognize what is going on in our world and to try to stay focused on the truth and the truth of who we are and what we do and how we do what we do. There was once a time in my life while I was on the air at Gospel Radio 1390, and I had a life-changing experience where I was brought up as a, how can I say this? I was raised as a Christian. But from the time I was a little girl, I could not understand, and it was not taught, it's just protocol, it's just, what's the word I'm looking for? Tradition, that you do as you are told. And I was told to be a good little girl and go to church every Sunday, Bible studies on Wednesdays. I mean, every day of the week we were in church because my mom passed and I went south to live with an aunt, and I became what was referred to as a holy roller. You're in church 7 days a week. But as I grew up, I never could understand why the preachers would shout, and it was so irritating to me. I just couldn't understand it. So fast forward, here I am at Gospel Radio 1390, and I am in a situation where everyone is a Christian as well, and I am just not still understanding. I'm thinking this is not how the rest of my life is going to be. I don't want people screaming at me in order to get a message across to me. So I began to search. And in that search, there was a brother who also worked at, WGCI was AM and FM at the time. 107.5 was the FM with secular music, and Gospel Radio 1390 was 1390 AM, which was inspiration. Well, the two stations were right there at 332 South Michigan, and then we moved to Michigan and Wacker. So both stations were in the same building, same floor, and so I had a chance to go to the other stations and talk to the employees there. And one of the employees, a brother named Lionel Israel, I knew he was the graphic designer, and I was in the midst of writing my first book, The Passion Principles, Pathways to Purpose, Power, and Profit, and I needed a book cover. And he's done all the billboards for Clear Channel, for Gannett at the time, then Clear Channel bought it. So all of the billboards that you would see across the city, Lionel Israel did those. He designed those billboards. So I'm knowing he can design a little book, and he did. So in the course of conversation, of course, I had to ask where the name came from because I knew his name as Elijah Dorsey, but he preferred to be called Lionel Israel. So the conversation came up. And he gave me some books to read, and I read them, and my eyes began to open, and I began to see things differently. And as the years progressed, he suggested that, because he knew of the inner turmoil I was experiencing, he suggested that I look in the Bible and find a name and that I liked, that spoke to me. So I found the name from 2 Chronicles, Shalomit, Shelomith. Shalomit was the male version. Now, that's a whole nother story, but we're going to stick to this story right now. But I like the name Shalomit because it meant peace, and it still means peace, and I was not at peace. So I thought if I could get a word that would bring peace and harmony to my being, that would do. And after I adopted that name, I began to tell people, and some were receptive and some were not so receptive. And they would not let me change my name while I was on the radio because it was all about branding. And Zelda was the name that I've been using for the past 20 years, so why are you trying to change it now? They didn't want to confuse the listener. Well, the listener wasn't confused. They knew my voice. And many would call and say, hi, Shalom, it's a.k.a. Zelda, and it just made me feel so good. But I felt like a hypocrite because here I am preaching the gospel of the word of Jesus Christ, and the teachings of the Hebrew Israelites, which is Shalom, which is the name that I chose, which is under the nation of Hebrew Israelites. I felt like a hypocrite because I learned that God's name was also Yahweh, Yud-He-Wav-He. So I felt that I was not only portraying the listener, but myself and the community in which I was serving until I met a Muslim brother. I can't remember his last name, but it was Shakur. And he gave me a book by some sheiks. And in that book, it seemed like it all became crystal clear of what I was experiencing. And the confusion just seemed to melt away because it was then my understanding that God has many names. And you do not have to condemn those who do not agree with you, because I was very condemning. It's like now I know who I am and you don't know who you are, and you're praising the wrong God. OMG, was I a hypocrite? Yes, I was. But by the grace of God, I was taught through these readings and experiences and going through to the temple and praying and, yes, falling down on my knees even when they were hurting and giving praise and giving thanks that I was being awakened to the possibilities of not being so judgmental, but to be at one with myself and with my family all over the world, because we are all one. And what we choose to call our guiding force in life, God, Jesus, Allah, Yahweh, Buddha, Jehovah, whatever you decide to call it, it hears, and you are entitled to do that. We're not in a communist country, and we have the gift of speaking our mind. So that is why today we are talking about Muslims and Christianity and how they can work together. But before we do that, let's take a quick 5-minute meditation and think on those things as Brother Lionel Abdul Haqq prepares to be with us in the 8 o'clock hour. Let us begin to get quiet and, if possible, to remove any and everything from your arms, your hands, feet. If you can, sit straight up. And if you're lying down, that's okay too. But I had a caller last week who said she was lying down because she just had surgery. So she was lying down in the bed, and the meditation was so relaxing, she went to sleep. By the time she woke up, the show was off. I just thought that was so cute. Well, the fact that she was relaxed was good enough for me. If you make somebody else's day brighter, then you've done your work. So let us just close our eyes and take a long, deep breath and know that everything really is okay in this world despite appearances. As we close our eyes and inhale deeply, giving thanks for the breath that we breathe. And as we exhale, we release all negativity, all toxic thoughts, all the challenges that stand before us, before the day. And as we inhale, we give thanks that we can breathe through the nose as that breath energizes each and every organ. Our hearts our lungs, our liver, our pancreas, our spine, our stomach, our colon, the digestive tract. Each and every organ is being blessed and being given the opportunity to continue to do what it does to make us productive and continue to be the great thought leaders that are on a mission to make this world a better place to live. Inhale deeply. And exhale. And as you exhale, feel the stomach deflate. And as you inhale to the count of 5, 2, 3, 4, 5, hold it for a second and just give thanks. And exhale. And this time as you inhale, give thanks for the challenges that the day will bring, because you have taken the time to spend one-on-one with the one that is the inner higher being of you who knows all, without judgment, without blame, without criticism. And you give thanks. We give thanks. Inhale deeply, knowing that whatever challenges occur today are simply there to make us stronger. Chances are this will be a character building. It's a day that will come with people, places, and things that you do not expect to happen, but because you have taken the time to breathe in the goodness of God, you are equipped to handle any and every situation with peace and with calm and with joy. Inhale deeply and exhale. One more time. Inhale deeply through the nose and exhale, releasing all negative thoughts. Last time. Inhale deeply. And as you exhale, know that you are at the right place at the right time, doing the right thing. And as you take that last inhale and exhale for this session, simply lower your head forward and extremely slowly move it to the left, very, very slowly around to the back, extremely slowly. I know you're moving way too fast. Now that it's in the back, slowly move your head around to the right. Slowly as you continue breathing, and around to the front. Hold your head up and take another long, deep breath. Inhale deeply. And exhale, bending your head forward and around to the right, extremely slowly. Are you moving too fast? If your head is already at the back, you are moving way too fast. You should just be getting to the back of your head and looking at the sky now. As you slowly move your head around to the left in very small increments, and slowly bring your head around to the right. And as you lift your head up, turn your head to the left and then to the right. Another long, deep breath. And give thanks. And this is a very small 3 or 4 minute breathing exercise that you can do on your own during the course of the day when you are extremely or just stressed or frustrated. And remember to get that breath in, close your eyes, go into a room, a closet, the toilet, it does not matter, but go somewhere and center yourself, because there are forces out here to keep you off-center. And when we are off-centered, we often buy into thoughts and things that are not of our best interest, such as stress medication, bottles and food that we don't need, and prescriptions and things of that nature. When all the world is on us, we simply go within and get quiet, because that's where all the answers are. The answers are only a thought away. And if you enjoyed that session this morning, please feel free to join us every Monday morning on Blog Talk Radio, The Female Solution, Higher Learning with ZeldaSpeaks. And if you'd like to join us online, Facebook.com/ZeldaSpeaks, or you can always call in at 515-615-9325 and press 1 when you'd like to speak. And we have a caller, Brother Andrew Nelson, 8362, is on the line. Good, grand morning, Brother Nelson. Thank you for joining us on The Female Solution.
He had to step away, but I think he'll be back. I'll let you know.
And it seems like he may have been disconnected, or maybe he's still in meditation. Did anyone fall asleep? Are you awake out there this morning? Thank you so very much for joining us. I hope you enjoyed that, because it is times like this moment of meditation that will keep you centered and help you when help is not close. There's no one that you can talk to. But you can always talk to yourself. And in this society, we have a tendency to judge people who talk to themselves. And I think that's unfortunate, because we have all the answers. If we can't talk to ourselves, then who can we talk to? We label these people who talk to themselves as crazy. But if you think about it, did we not talk to ourselves as kids? We played with ourselves. We played alone sometimes. And it's okay if a child is in a room and they're playing alone and they're talking to themselves. It's okay. But once we become adults and we shy away from those childish ways and we forget, and that's what happens. And it's quite all right, because we can always go back to our childlike way of being. We're going to go back to the request line. It is still open at 605-9325 and press 1. And we have Brother Andrew Nelson on the line. Grand Rising, Brother Nelson. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Yes, thank you, Sister Zelda. I think that what Sister Naima said on the radio this morning should be transcribed and part of a curriculum, because, wow, it was very insightful, and it's a very sort of understanding that I'm aware of, and I recognize that many people have yet to, in the words of Universal House of Justice, quote, appreciate more adequately the purposes of these multifarious processes of change, this dialectic of social progress, crisis, and victory. That it's, I think, all a test to see, in the words of Minister Farrakhan, how we act.
Wow, and we thank you for that. It's wonderful to hear you say that, because two things. Last night I was listening to Minister Farrakhan before I went to sleep. He was the last voice that I heard. And also I am working on a curriculum, just as spoke that, I'm thinking to myself. And you picked up on that energy. So thank you for being an enlightened one, a thought leader, and for sharing that this morning, because it just shows great minds do think alike.
Yes, and I would be very happy to be on any show that you would be doing. I'm a candidate for mayor of Chicago. Were you aware of that? And I can actually win if my name is on the ballot. That's the only thing that precludes me from winning this election, getting my name successfully on the ballot, and then being invited to speak at various places.
Well,
and the people are going to be very pleasantly surprised to hear what I have to say.
Well, wonderful. We would love to have you on as a guest. I didn't even know that you were in Chicago. I don't know why I thought you were in another city.
Yes, I'm always in Chicago, and I something of a protege of Harold Washington's protege, Bill Doc Walls. Something of a mentor of mine.
Okay.
And I think that I would do a better job as mayor of Chicago than he would, because of the very thing that I'm promoting, which actually has to do with a national ID card in the form of I call it the Hyatt Gold Universal Basic Income Treasury Direct Account debit card, which will have EBT functionality and can be used as a ride-free public transit card as well. See, I'm looking at the practical ways of actually helping people, incentivizing us to have a consensus with the Federal Reserve Board of Governors insofar as universal basic income as the prerequisite for us to accept the mark of the beast in this form of the proprietary RFID chip and national ID card. And I am the developer of what would be the prototype of this national ID card.
There is a lot of noise in the background. We can barely hear you. Well, I think, Naima, we're going to go to break. Somewhere where it's a little more quiet, and we'll be right back. And thank you for joining us on Blog Talk Radio, The Female Solution, Higher Learning with ZeldaSpeaks. And thank you for joining us back here on Higher Learning with ZeldaSpeaks. And our very special guest today, Brother Lionel Abdul Haqq of Community Cultivations. And today our topic is the Muslim and Christian community. Good morning, Brother Haqq. Thank you for joining us this morning. Grand rising to you.
Yes, good morning.
Thank you so much for joining us this morning.
No, please be with you. No problem. I'm glad to have the opportunity to share and to learn in the process.
And today we're discussing Muslim and Christianity. And I am so glad that you chose that topic, because as I explained to the audience prior to this conversation, that I was having some challenges as a Christian trying to find my way in life and discovering Islam and the nation of Hebrew Israelites and the challenges I felt. So it's very apropos that you would speak on this morning. Can you share with our listening audience how this came to be?
Well, it began with my grandmother, ZeldaSpeaks, in St. Louis, Missouri, who remains to this day, although she's passed on, a pillar, a monumental person of to whom I gained a great deal of inspiration and guidance. Sitting at her feet in her barbecue place that she owns in St. Louis, I used to go down there and do my homework. But she was the most faithful. She was the most faithful person I knew, most God-fearing person I ever met, and a devout Christian. She helped to build the famous Hopewell Baptist Church in St. Louis, where like Dick Gregory was a member also.
Oh,
and
wow.
She instilled a great deal of appreciation for God, recognition of God, and faithful devotion in me. And having seen that, when I did commit to be a God-fearing person, it was based upon the example that she had set for me, and one that I did not want to play with. And so when I accepted to be a part of the Nation of Islam, when I was 21 years old, many moons ago, it was her example and commitment that made me recognize that I couldn't play with this religion, and that I made that commitment. It was a commitment that was, something that I intended to keep. And when Imam Warith bin Muhammad took over the leadership from his father, after his father passed, Elijah Muhammad passed, it was a unanimous decision by all the leadership based upon the history that Elijah Muhammad had established, that he would be a helper to him when he grew up. And one of the first things that I recognized about him was his commitment to improve the relationship between people of faith, not just Muslims of different perspectives, but people of faith in general. And there's a quote from the Holy Quran that he mentioned that, paraphrase generally, and that, I'm not going to give it to you exactly, but it says that of all the people of faith, you'll find that the Christians are the closest to Muslims in their faith and in their commitment. That the Christians would be the ones that would be closest to us in our faith and commitment. And we began to. He actually asked me as an assistant to him to work in that area, and so I began to cultivate relationships with Christian organizations, Christian schools like the Lutheran School of Theology, the Catholic Theological Union, and actually went to visit those places and to meet with individuals about the need for better relationships. And we actually formed an organization called the Conference for Improved Muslim-Christian Relations in 1985 that had a very ambitious focus and goal of engaging Muslims and Christians in social activities, political activities, and dialogue about what we had in common, not so much about our differences. yeah, that was one of the proudest things I ever did. Was to form that organization. We put out a number of projects and was actually starting to make some real headway here in the heartland of America. When things started falling apart, we were introduced to a member of the Christian community from the Lutheran School of Theology who came in with the specific purpose of joining the organization, and we had a little more progress after that, but soon things started falling apart. And I believe that was intentional. I believe that this individual was actually sent in to undermine and sabotage our movement because it didn't fit in with the long-range plans that have unfolded since then in terms of Muslim-Christian relations, which have gone completely in the opposite direction that we had intended.
And now we're at a point where we really can, or we have to be very mindful of the things that we say and do so that we don't become targets.
So that we don't what?
So that we don't become targets.
Oh, yeah. Well, that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got a target on our back already. Anybody who's a Muslim in America,
right,
virtually has a target on his back. He's viewed as a enemy, potential enemy, and with fear and suspicion of an association with being a terrorist. The word Muslim has gone from being a very positive thing with a very outstanding reputation for being God-fearing, trustworthy, a committed individual, to being associated with terrorism. And that has happened over the last 20, 30 years at a rapid pace, very rapid pace. So I don't think that's by accident. Just as the demise of the Black Panther Party and other historic organizations, including the Southern Christian Leadership Conference and the NAACP, all of them were infiltrated by COINTELPRO and other counterintelligence programs to undermine what they considered to be a threat, anything that represented a threat to the status quo of political, religious activity in America. I believe just as that was the case with black organizations, the Muslim community, I think, suffered or was infiltrated and worked against much more than any of those other organizations were.
Yeah, we get a chance to see that now as we see in many of the movies how they came into our community and found those who would conspire with them for a little change, so to speak.
Which was not difficult at all. They already had a whole community, most of us under that mentality.
Right.
And as I look back on the way things evolved, it actually started the evidence of it started right after Elijah Muhammad passed. The next day, he died. He died February 25th, 1975, and by the next day, the city council had passed a bill, a law that allowed for so-called illegitimate children to be able to petition their parents' estate, and that didn't exist before 1975.
Oh my goodness!
And that following day, when that law was passed, members of the late leader Elijah Muhammad's family, who were what they call illegitimate children, petitioned the court and tied up the assets, a big part of the assets of the community that was now under Elijah Muhammad's son, Wallace Muhammad, tied that money up in probate court. And we were in probate court fighting that battle from 75 till, I think, 79. When the court awarded those children, so-called illegitimate children, $2.5 million to be paid, and certain properties had to be sold. The community went backwards. We lost quite a bit of assets as a consequence of that court battle. And that was the beginning of what I consider to have been a major effort on the part of the powers that be to begin to undermine the direction that Imam Muhammad wanted to take the community into, which was more towards the historical teachings of Islam that is established by the Holy Prophet Muhammad, may peace be upon him, who received the Holy Quran 1,400 years ago and established the religion over a period of 23 years in Arabia. That is what is generally understood to be the religion for most Muslims throughout the world, although very few of them really follow it or really representing it as examples today. And I think that is the biggest fear that they had for what Imam Muhammad was getting ready to do with the Nation of Islam here in America. He was getting ready to introduce some 2 million African American followers of the Nation of Islam to the true teachings of Islam that were established by the Holy Prophet. And that is what they did not want. It didn't exist here prior. If it was awfully quiet. They didn't they weren't making any real progress. And they saw Imam Muhammad as being potentially a person who could take that 2.5 million followers of Elijah Muhammad and transform them into a major political and religious force in America, uniting people of different races, nationalities, ethnicities, the way the religion truly does for people all over the world. There are Muslims who are Chinese, Africans, Caucasians, and that is the reality that has been kept away from the conscious understanding of people. that this is not a religion of black or white races, that this is a religion that teaches one God who is not a man, and that all human beings ought to serve that one God. So this is an ongoing one. As we started, as I said, from 1985, when we started this organization, the Conference for Improved Christian Relations. By the time we got at our peak in 85, it was already starting to unravel with internal conflicts, people becoming more and more against the idea of cooperating, and more towards focusing on our differences and not on our similarities.
Right. Because doing so, the status quo would be shown in true light of who and what it really is, and those that hold power in this society would be forced to show what's really going on. And when you have people that are doing or trying to do good, then that's an issue. And they do whatever is necessary, as Malcolm said, by any means necessary, to keep that conversation quiet. And many have lost their lives as a result of that, lost their families as a result of that.
Well, I've got there's a DVD that is being circulated called Loose Change, 9/11. And this is a very controversial DVD that purports and shows in vivid detail that there's a great deal of inconsistencies with the whole scenario of 9/11 and how it was. There were no planes available to intercept the hijacked planes. No, military planes were available. They were all just happened to have been on maneuvers, had been sent long distances away on that particular day at that particular time. That there were a number of inconsistencies with how, with people associated with the Bush administration were actually involved in doing construction work in the Twin Towers prior to the collapse, the explosions and collapse of the building. And this whole 9/11 was the trigger for the Iraq War and Afghanistan War that then spilled over into Syria and has expanded into Libya. And this is where all of these Muslims have been killed, families have been made refugees, destroyed and made refugees. There are some 60-something million refugees around the country, from Muslim countries, around the world from Muslim countries, that are no longer capable of even taking care of themselves, or their children, and people are leaving, going across the ocean in on rafts across the Mediterranean Sea, trying to get away from the conflicts and the wars that have been created as a result of what we perceive to be the 9/11 attack. And there's a great deal of evidence to indicate that this has all been set up to maneuver the American people into a mindset for war against the Muslim world, kind of a new crusade, as former President Bush first expressed it as a new crusade before he changed it. He changed his statement about it being not against Muslims as a whole, but against terrorists. And but it's been the Muslim societies, the Muslim communities, the Muslim people, by and large, who have suffered as a result of it. And I see all of this as being part of a major political move on the part of individuals who are aligned and have an agenda to eliminate a lot of people and to stop the growth of Islam, which, by virtue of its posture as a major moral influence in the world, represents a threat to those who want to exploit the people of the world. You know, Muslims by and large do not gamble. They don't drink. They don't use drugs. By and large, the religion has a very powerful moral and spiritual message that fortifies its people, and have actually, even here in the United States, been a major force against drug addiction and alcoholism, and for strong family life. And that's not something that people who profit from other people's miseries want to see expanded in America or throughout the world. He represents a threat to their continued expansion of their immoral lifestyle that they have established here in America. They want that all over the world. Right. And Islam, the religion, actually represents a major threat to that, and so it has to go.
Because we, as a people, have yet to learn to think for ourselves. We allow those who control the universe, well, not the universe, but Earth. Yeah, they don't control the universe. Well, they're trying. Look at the weather. They're trying, and they're doing, I won't say a good job, but they're doing something with it. If you're just tuning in this morning, you're listening to Brother Lionel Abdul Haqq of Community Cultivations, and we're discussing Christian-Muslim relations. If you'd like to join the conversation, please feel free to call in at 515-605-9325 and press 1 when you'd like to speak. And if you're online, join us, facebook.com, ZeldaSpeaks, and on any other social media. But right now we're going to take a break, and we will be right back to continue discussion. We'd love to have your input right here on The Female Solution on Blog Talk Radio, Higher Learning with ZeldaSpeaks. And thanks for staying with us. And thank you for joining us this morning on our last half hour here on Blog Talk Radio, The Female Solution, Higher Learning with ZeldaSpeaks, and Brother Lionel Abdul Haqq of Community Cultivations, as we continue the conversation on Christians and Muslims. Are we more alike? What are the relations between us now as we go and continue the conversation. We have a caller on the line, Brother Minister Plump. Good grand rising to you. Thank you for joining us.
Shalom. Good morning. Way on ya shalom. We don't die, we multiply. Assalamu alaikum.
Amen.
Hallelujah. Yes.
Peace be with you too.
Thank you, beloved. We just want to kind of answer that question in a quick, in a hurry, in a dignified way. Way on ya shalom. That means, we are one. That goes for Christians, Muslims, Hebrews, nationalists, and all the people on the planet Earth, black, white, red, brown, and yellow. We don't die, we multiply. Black power forever, and assalamu alaikum again. All praise is due to Allah for the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, which is forever. Islam is forever, and no one can change it, because who is the greatest? Allah is the greatest. He sent Abraham, Ishmael, Isaac, Jacob, Jesus, Christ, the Lord of Lords, King of Kings, and he's a black man. The biggest confusion and wrong thing that the opposition created and made a statement was that Jesus Christ was a white man. That is wrong. Okay? All right, we win. So for more information, tune in at the Harold Washington Foundation.org or .com, and you can reach me, your brother and friend, at 312-671-2773. And Brother Abdul, I just love your spirit. And Sister Zelda, I love your spirit. And that's why I had to come on this line and say we are way on y'all. Ask Mama D. She'll tell you that's one of my sisters, 23 like you and me, Zelda. And praise Allah for Sister Dr. Naima Latif. Her birthday is on April 15th. And we promoting the Honorable Mayor Harold Washington Peace Parade. And we promoting peace, love, and unity and justice in the community. And everybody can help stop the violence, robbing, stealing, and killing, and help save our children. And you all have a pleasantly plump day. That's what Les Brown say. I used to be his chauffeur, too, where we used to go out to Dr. Reverend Johnny Colvin, our godmother's church. And also we like to thank the Lord for Pastor Mary and Earl Staunton. And Pastor Staunton is from Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and that's where we started on the fact that we are way on Yah in our journey. So he was a Christian, but yet he believed in the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So that's why we say all praise is due to Allah. Who is the greatest? Allah is the greatest. Allah Akbar. Who is the greatest? Allah is the greatest. He sent all of them. Jehovah. He sent Yahweh, Yahweh, Yahshua, the Lord of Lords, and King of Kings, and gods of gods. And we love you. Thank you a million for listening to me, and I hope to see you all at the Swift Mansion this Sunday. We'll be right back there from 2:30 to 4:30 at 4500 South Michigan. That's the Swift Mansion, which is a historical location, and happy Black History Month. When you go to our website, the HaroldWashingtonFoundation.org, click on events, and you'll see that there is a Christian unity relationship between the whole community. And Mayor Washington said we must plump the whole community. So God bless you. We love you, and keep up the good work. You are men of God, children of God, and people of God. We are the children, we are the people, and we are the world. Thank you so much, Zelda. You had a fantastic day today because you have amended. That means we have corrected our error and our differences. May they be small or large. We thank God for you, too, because we are doing what we need to do at the right place at the right time. And we need everybody to come to celebrate on Dr. Spencer Leak's birthday, Mayor Washington's birthday, and Naima Latif's birthday. The soul sisters and the soul brothers. That means we are way on Yashalom. We love you. Keep up the good work. Thank you, Minister Robert Floyd Plump. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Thank you for calling and sharing this morning, Minister Plump. We can always count on you.
I would like to. I like to respond to something the brother said.
Mhm.
He was talking about how he said that the biggest mistake was that the world see Jesus as a Caucasian and not as a black man. That was the biggest mistake, that they had projected that Jesus was not a black man. I think that the biggest mistake that Jesus is God. I think that the idea that God is a man, which is where my understanding of the Nation of Islam came into being, was under Elijah Muhammad, who basically taught that God was a man, that Allah was a man, and that was one of the main things that his son changed when he became the leader. When Muhammad Muhammad became the leader of the Nation of Islam in 1975, the first thing he did was to raise the Holy Quran up above his head. And he said that this book is bigger than me. This book is bigger than my father. This book is bigger than the man who taught his father, W.F. Muhammad, who said he was Allah in the person. And Imam Muhammad went on to explain, in the context of the Quran, the book that was revealed to Prophet Muhammad 1,400 years ago. It is the book that established this religion worldwide. He pointed out in that book how clearly the idea of God being a man is the number one problem that has led to the decline of human civilization in time immemorial, that it has been a consistent problem from one nation after another that has risen up, came vain, that they began to lose sight on who God is and began to focus on individual human personalities and elevate them through praise to a level of honor that only God is due. And the reason why we say all praise is due to Allah is because we know that praise can destroy not only the individual human being who was given that praise, but it can also destroy a community who loses sight on the fact that all praise is due to Allah.
And I have to agree with you on that, Brother Lionel, because we as a people have a tendency to praise each other, and that those who are not praised are made to feel left out or unworthy. And I think that deserves attention, because we are all worthy. The fact that we are all here, it's part of the journey, part of the experience. So each individual, but not as an individual, but as a collective, that we praise the Most High. So I agree with you on that.
Well, I would add to that the idea of being worthy is an important part of this discussion, because our worthiness is in our humility. The characteristic that most reflects our connection, our kinship to our Creator is our humility, because there's no one more humble than Allah. There's nothing in creation that shows a greater level of humility than the Creator. And if we want to really reflect the goodness of our Creator, we have to focus on our humility, on being humble and maintaining a humble spirit, because that is where the blessings come from. I have come to learn from personal experiences that the whole idea of elevating our consciousness begins with our humbling our spirit.
And how does one do that?
The whole purpose of what we call acts of worship, whether it be praying or fasting or giving in charity or being willing to go to war, to fight for the cause of protecting your community and your family from invaders who want to pillage and plunder. Every act of worship is a step in the direction of building and elevating our consciousness. And the more you're willing to put aside your own personal will, your own personal influences, personal desires, ambitions, to conform to the ideals of and the disciplines of religion, is a humbling experience that elevates you with each step. And the more you humble yourself in recognition and submission to be guided by the Creator, the more the Creator will guide you to better understanding.
Say that again.
The more you're willing to elevate yourself through, humble yourself through service, through the service of what the disciplines of fasting, prayer, charity, the struggle of Hajj, which is what life is. It's a constant struggle. All of those things, you're being willing to submit to do those things and doing those things consistently, regularly, it humbles your spirit and elevates your consciousness to higher and higher levels. This is how God blesses you. And he blesses you according to what you do, not what you say. And that is where most people fall way short. They talk a good game, but they don't do very much. They don't humble themselves very much. They lose sight on the reality of humility being a major factor in human conscious evolution. That you can't get the blessings, the real blessings that God intends for his servants, if you don't practice what it is that he has given you as acts of worship on a level and a level of consistency that begins to show you why you fast and to show you why you do give charity.
And that's a great beginning for those who may not understand, overstand what to do and how to do it in order to be and remain humble. So I thank you for sharing that information, because I was just about to ask the question, and Spirit said, be quiet and let him speak, and it will be answered. And it was answered. So thank you very much for that, and for enlightening our listeners today and viewers, for those who are online. On a closing thought, Lionel, what would you say to our audience, and what to expect on the next show with Brother Lionel Abdul Haqq with Community Cultivations? What can we expect on our next conversation with you? Because you will continue to be a contributor to Higher Learning with ZeldaSpeaks, the first Monday of every month. What can we expect next month? As we wrap up, we've got about a minute.
Yeah, I would, there's a great wealth of material that I've submitted for review of subjects that we can discuss based upon the work that I've been doing and continue to do with Community Cultivations Consultants. One of the things that's really been on my mind to share and discuss is with regard to this issue of sexual harassment and abuse in the society. There was a movie called The Accused that came out starring Jodie Foster back in the 80s. This was a major, very controversial movie in which a female, the character that she played in this movie was gang raped in a public bar. And the people who committed the rape said that she had asked for it because of the way she had exhibited herself, displayed herself dancing in the bar. And this is a movie, this is an issue that is at the root of this whole situation. And I think that would be a good thing to discuss in more detail.
Well, thank you so much for sharing that information, and we look forward to hearing more next first Monday of the month. Brother Lionel Abdul Haqq, thank you so much for joining us today, and thank you for our listening audience for joining us, and we will see you back here next Monday, same time, 7:30 a.m., on Blog Talk Radio, The Female Solution, Higher Learning with ZeldaSpeaks, and our special guest. Stay on purpose, stay empowered, stay tuned to more Higher Learning, and be sure and join us for monthly, weekly, daily updates on my YouTube channel, ZeldaSpeaks Mindfulness. Until next time, stay on purpose, stay empowered, and stay enlightened. God bless, and make it a great day and a great life. And thanks for joining us for the evening. And thank you, Lionel.
And be sure to get your copy of the book, The Female Solution. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussion. And to our global family listening from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, Sheshe, India, Zanyaba, Japan, Arigato, Korea, Kamsahamnida, Russia, Spasiba, Germany, Danke, Poland, Dziękuję, France, Merci, Spain, Gracias, Italy, Grazie, Egypt, Shukran, Ghana, Medasi, Nigeria, Eshe, South Africa, Ngiyabonga, Senegal, Jaret, Kenya, Asante, Israel, Toda, Pakistan, Shukriya, Afghanistan, Tashakor, Saudi Arabia, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Thank you, and may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.